right, Ricky, come on. You got to be
You got
impressed.
it. I'm impressed.
Not only did they use it, they used the wrong tape.
No, that's Jimmy
It's him,
G.
right?
he looked like a professor.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Philly Sports Convo. This is episode number 28. I'm Jason. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's this big game coming up on Sunday. They call it the big game because we can't really say Super Bowl, right? It says big game special down there because we can't use the word Super Bowl because the NFL will fine us a lot of money, and it's way more than I can afford. But we're going to talk about the big game, and for that, I want to bring in one of my favorite guys. He's my coworker at PHL 17. He's our sports guy there now, and he's doing a hell of a job doing that. There he is. It is
Thank you, Jay.
Tyrone Sharper. Tyrone, how are you, man? Good to have you
Good,
here. Good to be
Jay.
talking about the Super Bowl.
You know you got the big bucks, man.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
where I work. What are you talking
We
about?
can say Super Bowl because you got it covered. You got all the fines and everything covered for you. So
There you go. There you
just
go.
change it to the Super Bowl.
So
I'm doing great, Jay. Always a pleasure to be with you, man.
no, dude, it's my pleasure, and it's funny because as we were recording this at about 8:16 on Friday evening, we just watched the show on PHL 17 that you and I were
Yeah.
both a part of. You had some
Yeah.
great conversations with Dave Spadaro and with Jeremiah Trotter. I got to talk to the great Merrill Reese. Yeah, I want to ask you about talking to Trot because you're a dad. You have your son is what, 6 years old?
He's 6, yeah.
So I've got kids. My kids are a lot older than that, but we know what it's like as a father watching your kids do great things. You got to talk to Jeremiah Trotter Sr. about seeing his son in the Super Bowl. Anybody who missed the show, just kind of talk about that and what he said and what he told you about what it's all been like for him.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks for Trot for, spending some time to talk to us about that.
Absolutely.
I asked him about, just watching your kid, first of all, at every level from Pop Warner to, junior played at Clemson, and now he's in the NFL and things like that. And his answer wasn't really about football. It was just you get nervous as a parent watching your kid just go through each level and deal with injuries and stuff like that. Football is a very physical sport, so if you guys get to see the interview, you hear him talk about that a little bit. But and then we got into some of the advice he gave him for the big game. Obviously, Junior was in his arms in 2003, 2004 when his dad punched the ticket to Super Bowl 39. So I just talked about, kind of how fast you and I were just talking about how fast time goes as a parent, but
Yep.
he just says it goes by so fast. But of course, he's proud of him, and he's just telling him it's a football game. Try not to allow the moment to be bigger than what it is. Just treat it as a football game, and don't get too tied into the media and all the big stuff. I don't like it either that the NFL does this because as a fan who watches the all season long, this is too much, man. We got 1 week and then the next week it's football. That's usually how it goes. But
Sure.
he just told him to enjoy the moment and go out there and knock their heads off, man.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think
was it was
that's
it was
exactly how
great
you put it,
talking to
right?
him. Yeah, I think he said what was the word?
Oh, he
I
said hit
really
him in the mouth.
hit him in the
Hit him
mouth, right? We say that a lot in football. Hit him in the mouth. So I really like, that he told him that, and hopefully, Junior's bringing that trophy back to Philadelphia.
Fingers crossed, right? And you
Fingers
and I have talked
crossed.
a lot about the game and
Yeah.
I guess our confidence level, maybe we'll put it that way. So let's talk about that because
Yeah,
I know I'm nervous. I
sure.
I don't know if would you say you're nervous? What did you tell me earlier today? Well, I don't want to put words
I,
in your mouth. You tell me
I'm
what.
not really nervous. I
Are
guess
you
there are.
confident? Are you confident?
I'm confident in the talent of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
And I hate to be the person who falls into this referee narrative with the Kansas City Chiefs, but my eyes don't deceive me. Okay, I see what I see, and a lot of NFL fans and a lot of people who don't even watch football see that the Chiefs they get some help. So my thing is, I don't when games get to this level in the NFL, the NFL is an entertainment business. So you kind of get nervous that there will be a factor of uh the NFL trying to control the outcome. I hate to say that out loud because I know people are like, come on. But we saw 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57, uh, late in the game like that, the referees have to allow it to play out,
I
right? It,
agree.
it wasn't an extremely big tug. He
Right.
got his hand on his back a little bit. You cannot let that call in that moment decide the game, especially when that ball is a little bit over both of their heads. So, I wouldn't have called it. But those are the things I worry about. When it comes to the Eagles going straight up against the Chiefs, you the Eagles can beat them easily.
Yeah, no,
They can
I
beat
think,
them easily.
yeah, no, I agree. I think the Eagles have the better team, but I
Yes.
share your concern, and I've like you, I've never been one to say, oh, the refs are against us, the refs are biased.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're biased, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, I don't think they're biased. But like you said, you can't watch any KC game and not think something's wrong. And it's not even watching. You can just Google the numbers, go game by game, and see the the
Mm-hmm.
the calls against the Chiefs and the calls against their opponent, and
Yeah.
it's night and day. So
Yes.
I mean, my fear is there's going to be a point in the game where Saquon Barkley breaks one, and it's a 60-yard run, and all of a sudden holding offense.
Bring it back.
That's what's
Bring it
going to
back.
happen.
I can see that happening too. I can see it happening too. And I can see, you know, I think these two teams match up well, but that type of thing can happen at any point in this game. And it will. I don't know if it'll be on like a 60-yard run, but it'll be on like a big play. And here comes the laundry. So, I mean, I just want them to just let them play the game. Let the players decide the outcome of the game.
Agreed. Agreed.
And if that happens, then as a football fan, cool, whatever. If the Eagles lose because they lost the game, fair and square, fine. But just leave the controversy out. But I know at this level, it's the Super Bowl. It's a big thing. It's not going to be any controversy, like a lack of controversy. There's going to be some
Well,
controversy in this
well, I
game.
mean, let me ask you this: do you think the NFL wants Kansas City to three-peat? I know it would be history, but on the other hand, you want parity in your game. Um,
Mhm.
the vast majority of the fan base, I think, is getting sick of seeing Kansas City win. Not that I'm saying that they would
They
that they
are.
would cheat in favor of the Eagles, but maybe
Hmm.
maybe the calls won't be so one-sided this time
Yeah.
around, or maybe that's just wishful thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't happen either way. I just think that the Chiefs have a little less grace with getting grace from the referees. So if it happened in favor of the Eagles, I don't think you'll hear as much, like, oh, here we go with this again, because it'll be a lot of players' first time winning the Super Bowl. So, does the league want the three-peat? I think you bring a good point that it wouldn't be good for the business side of the NFL
Yeah,
because there are a lot of like there's going to be a lot of people watching the Super Bowl. It's just the way we are here in America. But there are a lot of people who are not going to watch the Super Bowl as well. I've been seeing a lot of reports of people boycotting the NFL for the Chiefs even being in it, right? So they hate both teams. A lot of America hate the Eagles and the Chiefs, but they hate the Chiefs a little bit more because of the way they've been able to win Super Bowls. Like, just let them win on their own. And people are like, they're not winning fair. So I don't know. It's a valid thought, and I've been going back and forth in my mind about whether or not the NFL does want that because we haven't seen it. We've never seen it. The only time that it's come close, I think there was maybe two or three times, right? Where the Patriots could have been three-peat, and then they got stopped. And
okay.
then there were other Super Bowls where another team could have got three-peat, and then they got stopped on that third attempt. So I would have to look back at it. I was looking at it earlier this week, but I don't know if they want that or not. With the way things are going, I don't think they should want it.
I don't think they do want it. I mean, because the thing about football, it always seemed like in the NFL, compared to, like, say, the NBA. If you have a
Hmm.
bad season, you can bounce back pretty quick. Whereas in the NBA, I
Yeah.
mean, look, we had to go through the process with the Sixers.
Hmm.
And I think that, that's one of the things that the NFL likes, that going into each season, a lot of teams by the end of the season, a lot of teams could be there at the end.
Sure.
So, um, somebody made a point to me at work today. You'll know who I'm talking. Oh, but Blaine,
Hmm.
okay. For those of you watching and listening, there's this guy we work with. He's our IT guy. He's a New York sports fan. Love the guy to death. He's a great guy, but he's as annoying as hell. No, just when it comes to sports, because he's a Giants fan and he hates the Eagles. But no, I love the guy. But he makes the point to me today, and I didn't even think about this. If if the Eagles lose and the Chiefs get the three-peat, 2 out of the 3 were against the Eagles. I mean, how can we
Yeah.
live that down?
Yeah, oh man, that'll be tough, especially with the way the first one went. If this one goes anywhere near its close versus like I don't know. It'll be so bad for Philadelphia though, because for the past what 2 to 3 years, we've just kind of been getting there with our teams, right? Between the Phillies and the Eagles, we've just been getting there and then boom, kicked off the top of the ladder. We can't just slide down and enjoy a championship. We get right there. So it's like it's almost like a must win right now because the
I
way things have gone,
Yep.
right? For Philadelphia fans to keep their sanity, please, Eagles, just win this game.
Yeah, we,
Please
we
do it for the city.
we need it, because think about it. Once, and I know spring training is going to start. What is it? I guess it's next week, right? When pitchers and catchers
It's
report.
very soon.
Yeah, it's next week.
Yeah, I think it's next week. Yeah,
So that's fine, but the games don't start for real until last day of March, first early April, whatever it is. So
yeah.
after Sunday, we've got the Sixers and the Flyers, and so we need some good feeling to carry us through till Phillies baseball actually starts. You made an interesting observation. I forget, we were
Yeah.
talking about this today or yesterday. Um, you think Saquon? I'm
Hmm.
sorry, not Saquon. You think Devontae Smith is going to have a big game? And the more I thought about it, that makes sense. But explain your rationale.
Well, part of it just comes from just looking at Media Week this week, and I think body language speaks louder than words sometimes. And I've just Devontae has just stood out to me. His storyline with, he's back home, right? He's played state championship games at a high school level in there. He's played, other championship games in that building and in that area. So I don't know. I just look at Devontae Smith and he just looks like he's ready to play ball. So from an athlete's perspective, this guy's ready to go. I've been seeing people say that about Jalen Hurts, but Jalen always looks like he's ready to go, and then boom, he drops a quote on you, and then it's like, yeah, yeah, he's always ready. He has a good, mentality, and that's what I like about Jalen Hurts. But I think everyone's talking about Saquon, right? Saquon's going to be a factor because he's Saquon Barkley and what he's done all year long. AJ Brown, we know what he is. But I think the matchup that Smitty has going into this game, I think he's going to go off, man. I really think Devontae Smith has a big game.
Now, they're up against a pretty good defensive coordinator. So, and when Andy
Oh yeah.
Reid has 2 weeks to prepare, he's usually pretty good. So it's a daunting task. I mean, the Eagles
Hmm.
certainly have their work cut out for them, but I think we all thought similarly a couple of years ago, and they were there right till the end. And like you said, with that, if that penalty wasn't called, who knows what would have happened from that point to the end of the game.
Yeah, I agree. When you think about that Eagles team that year, they were able to put together a lot of good drives, right? And were good in those kind of tough scenario situations. And I think if they had got a chance to get that ball back, they at least tie the game or they go down the field and win it. And what gives me confidence about this team against this Chiefs team is that this offensive team has more weapons. With Saquon Barkley just changes the entire thing,
Yep.
right? But they know how to use the guys that they have right now. Not that they didn't before, but Saquon has the ability to change the entire game just being there. I don't need Saquon to go off for 255 in this game. Just being there is going to change what the Chiefs have to do against this Eagles offense.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm fairly confident. I mean, I'm still nervous because, as you well know, Tyrone, there's a certain pessimism that comes with being a lifelong Philadelphia sports fan.
Yep.
But having said that, the defense gives me confidence. This defense has been tremendous at creating turnovers.
Sure.
At going to punch the ball out. I mean, they've been great at that. And talking about turnovers, the one difference in the game 2 years ago,
Hmm.
what was the difference? The difference was the Jalen Hurts turnover and the scoop and score. Okay, he was
Yeah.
the best player on the field, but if you're just looking at the numbers, well,
Yeah.
he's been really good at protecting the football this year, and especially in the playoffs. So I don't think that's going to be a factor on Sunday. Um, I
Yeah.
see the Eagles winning the turnover battle, and if they win the turnover battle
Mhm.
against Kansas City, I think they win the game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's always a big factor, right? Turnover battles and another stat in football games that I think get overlooked is time of possession. If they can get turnovers and control the clock and turn, those possessions, those long drives into points, but just going back to that other Super Bowl, another factor was, I mean, everybody was saying it was an excuse, but it was a legitimate factor. The football field was slippery,
I forgot
and
about that.
that
Yeah.
defense
Oh, it was
led the
terrible.
league in sacks, and they couldn't really get to the quarterback because they were slipping and sliding all over the place. They couldn't get any traction. So I think this time, this Eagles front seven, they are forced to be reckoned with. And I'm glad you brought up the defense. My only concern with this secondary is that these young guys have played good all year long, but they haven't seen Mahomes. They haven't played against Mahomes. So um, I don't know. Mahomes always is a factor, but I don't know. I just think this defense is going to hold their own. I'm not really too concerned about them at all.
Well, you're right. Mahomes is always a factor. I'll tell you something Merrill Reese said. Um, just when you think you have Mahomes, he escapes, and before you know it, you go from possibly, sacking him behind the line of scrimmage to all of a sudden it's a 13, 14-yard gain and he's got a first down. And
Hmm.
and he did that a couple times,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago in Super Bowl 57. So, but I agree. I think they can put and they will put good pressure on Mahomes. But getting back to the whole official thing, my worry is a bogus roughing the passer call because and again I've never been one to complain. I've never been one to point the finger at other players, but I do think to a point Mahomes is kind of a crybaby. He's always
Oh,
playing
yes.
to the refs for the flag. Not only that, he sounds like Kermit the Frog, doesn't he? Is it me? He sounds just like Kermit the Frog.
Mahomes is a great player, man,
He's,
but
he's tremendous.
that is one guy I hope doesn't go in television after his never listen to listen to that voice all day. I would turn the TV off, man. I couldn't imagine him doing like play-by-play or color analyst after his career. I don't know, but I definitely can see, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen where, Mahomes gets sacked and it's like, oh, before the QB was sacked, illegal contact down the field, somewhere, something stupid.
Yeah.
Um, just let the guys play. Just please, officials. I just let them play. But of course, if we get calls to go our way, then everyone's go like, see that? You see what we mean? You guys get calls too, but
Well, I
I
mean
just don't. I don't know. I
they
don't.
they
I don't
say it all
feel
evens
good
out.
about it. I don't feel good about it, Jay. I'm be
Yeah, I'm
honest with you. And the talent of this team, I don't know, man.
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I mean, it's been talked about so much the issue with the officials that I really think they're going to be under the
Yeah.
microscope. And if there's such a disparity with calls on Super Bowl Sunday, that's just not a good look. So, well, Well,
It's an I what I didn't like was Travis Kelsey. Like he added fuel to the fire because during media day, before he was like he made a reference to like the official thing, the official's conspiracy theory thing, and I'm like, why even say something?
right.
Like people are going to think that you're just trying to mask it, right, to make it seem like it's not real. It's not any like these people are not idiots. They're watching the game. This is film. Like film doesn't lie
That's true.
when they're studying film. Well, for us, our film and this whole referee conspiracy thing, it doesn't lie to us. We see what's going on. So as much as these guys try to defend it, it's like, well, of course you're going to defend it because a lot of these calls and things are going in your favor. But I like why even say anything if it doesn't have like some realness to it. So I don't know, man. I hope I'm just gonna sit and just watch the game. I'm not gonna clap. I'm not gonna cheer
Yes, you will.
until the clock
Th-
says zero and the Eagles are
You
waiting
will.
for the confetti to fall. I'm just gonna sit there. I'm trying not to get too
But
worked up.
but you listen.
And that's my plan for not doing.
But Tyrone, that's impossible. That's impossible. I mean, you're a passionate sports fan just like I am. You could sit there and try not to get emotionally involved, but you're going
Yeah.
to, and you know you will.
It's going to be tough, but I'm going to try my best not to. I want to talk about this defense again, though, because there's a name that it looks like he's coming back. I'm excited about it. He's my favorite player, Brandon Graham. And we did talk about this a little bit. Just having him back is going to be a big help, right? We don't need BG to play 98% of the snaps.
Yeah, yeah.
If he can come in there a few plays and rotate in, that helps Josh Sweat or Nolan Smith to stay fresh,
But
right? And be able to chase down Mahomes and contain him and keep him in the pocket.
but more so, but
So
not.
I don't think they made an official announcement yet.
Mm. Yeah, but to me, it's more than just the physical aspect that he can give guys a break. It's the emotional
Yes,
aspect and the lift that he's going to give the team. I mean, he's one of the most vocal guys on the team. He's one of the most fun guys on the team, and I think just having him back there is just going to
hmm
be it's just going to kind of, I don't want to say light a fire under everybody. It's the Super Bowl. They all have fires lit up under them, but you know what I mean. It's going to
yeah,
make them even more, and especially because they could be his last game.
could be his last game.
It's
Yeah,
like win it for BG. I think
yeah,
we were talking about it. We were talking about it at the station this morning, and to a point, maybe it's apples and oranges, but I was equating it to, and people of of my age and older will remember this. I mean, it was just a little before my time, but not much. New York Knicks, Willis Reed. He comes limping out of the locker room with the team, and
yeah.
he played, and it was just he didn't really do much in the game in terms of numbers. I think he had one bucket. He scored 2 points in the entire game. But the fact that that he was there, it lifted everybody else up, and I think Brandon Graham's going to have that same impact. And if he can actually have an impact on the field, a la Super Bowl 52, that would
Yeah,
be even more of a storybook ending. I think if he comes back,
that would be awesome.
tell me what you think about this. If he come, okay, if he doesn't come back, or if he
Mhm.
comes back and they lose the game, I can see him playing one more year. If he comes back and they win, what better way to go out?
I agree. I think he's hinted at that idea of playing another year. Some believe that it'll be his last year, but he's kind of threw the idea out there that it might not be. If he could play again, he will. But I do believe if he win, that he just rides off into the sunset with his two Super Bowl rings,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
and
Totally
I'd be
agree.
happy for
Um,
him.
is there any concern you have? My concern, and I think we talked about this too. I think we talked about this the last time we did one of these things together. Jake Elliott. How concerned are you about Jake Elliott? I mean, you can't I mean, I know it's in a dome, so maybe since there's no elements, maybe Sirianni would try a 50 plus yard field goal, but it's I don't know, man. He's obviously he's not the guy he used to be. And how much does that scare you? Because the guy on the other side,
Big,
what's his name,
big
Butker, he's
time.
pretty good.
Oh, Harrison Barker's really good, and it's a big concern. I at this point, I think that's the little bit of hope that being indoors helps him out a little bit. But I don't think it's an outdoor indoor thing that he's dealing with. I'm not really sure that's what it is. He's pushing a lot of them to the left. So I don't know if it's just in his head once he missed the
It
couple because
probably is.
he's never really he's never Jake's been pretty solid his whole time as an Eagle. So this year has been a down year. Um, but Jake could end up being very pivotal in this game, right? Because both defenses are solid. So maybe it's a defensive game. And those three pointers become really big in
No
those
doubt.
defensive games. So, oh, he's definitely a concern. Definitely a concern. Just hope in and get the foot down, and put the ball through the uprights. Well,
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
mean,
call him. I'm gonna have a conversation with
you're
him.
you're gonna call him up,
I'm gonna call him up.
Jake. It's Tyrone.
It's
Um,
me, man.
and listen, there's no truth to the rumor that earlier this week, Jake Elliott pulled into a Wawa and missed the parking space wide right. That never happened. That was totally fabricated.
It's a mess. It didn't happen. It's not true.
I mean, listen. All kidding aside, I don't. And you mentioned, it's probably in his head. The thinking, the
Hmm.
mindset of a field goal kicker. When you think
Hmm.
about it, in the snow a couple weeks ago, he missed what? He missed an extra point, right?
Yes.
But then he made two.
Is that the only one? He made some big kicks in
Yeah,
that game,
I
in the
mean
Rams game, right? The divisional game.
he missed an extra point before like the thick of the snowstorm. So the
Yeah.
weather still wasn't bad. But then in
Hmm.
the thick of the snowstorm, he makes a 34 yarder and a 37 yarder. And in that kind of weather, those aren't gimmies. But he made them.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. It's like he's making the more difficult ones,
Hmm.
but he's missing the extra points. And
Hmm.
I mean, I know it's only 1 point, but that can
It's
change the
huge.
complexion of a game. If you're up by 6 instead of 7, um, you know, in the closing seconds, and they get a touchdown, well, they can take the lead. So I mean,
Yeah.
every point counts.
It does, absolutely. And that's a good point that you bring up there. I was thinking that. I'm like, in that game, I'm like, okay, just keep making them, Jake. But man, the kick in the snow, they just wiped the ground off for you, and and you're making them. Like, keep making them, but goodness, man. So I mean, hopefully, again, he locks in and understands the magnitude of the game. I'm sure he does. He's been there before. Um, he's won a Super Bowl, so it's not his first time playing in these big games or anything like that. Whatever ones that he has missed before this game, they don't matter. They don't. They're out
That's
of sight, out of
exactly
mind.
right.
If he makes every one that he needs to make, every Philadelphia fan won't give a crap about what field goal he missed during the season if he makes everyone he's supposed to make, especially if he makes a game winner, right? In this game, they won't care what he missed.
Can you imagine if the Eagles are in a position they're down, say they're down by a point or down by 2 points or whatever, and closing seconds of the game, but it's like a 52 or 53 yarder. And Jake
Hmm.
Elliott comes in, and we're all like, oh man, it's 50 plus. He's not going to make it. And he
Here we
hits it to
go.
win the game. You know
Oh
what?
man,
I could see him retiring. I mean, because think about this.
he just got a new contract though.
I understand that, but I mean, he's obviously not the kicker he used to be.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, even if he doesn't want to hang it up, do the Eagles try to make a change next season? I know we don't want to jump the gun. We still got a game to go, but
It's a good conversation.
yeah, I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
and it's the kind of thing where it's like you feel bad seeing the guy go because he has meant a lot
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
to this franchise, to the city. I mean, going back to the 2017 season when they won the Super Bowl, and I think you and I talked about
Hmm.
this before. You remember what the turning point in that season was, right?
Yeah. Was it 61 yards? I
61
think it was
yarders. Yes,
61
61
yards.
yarder.
I
And
was at that game. It was
that's right, you
crazy.
were there. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it was wild. It was electric. That wasn't the game though. I just kind of sidebar. That wasn't the game for me personally that made me feel like it could have been our year.
Well,
That
okay.
wasn't the game.
Which one was it?
But it was the Denver game when Denver came to Philadelphia and the Eagles put up a 50 burger on them. And I remember going into that week,
I forgot about
every
that.
everyone was talking about, oh, this is the number one defense. This defense is great, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'm
I remember now. Yeah.
trap game, and the Eagles just smacked them. And in the middle of that game, I think they had just got Jay Ajayi or something like that. And he broke one, and the stadium was going crazy. And I just kind of looked around like, okay, something does feel different this year. So yeah, but yes, Jake, that was a big part of that season for sure.
I would. Yeah. I mean, I'd hate to lose him. And it would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about a Hollywood type ending. If the Eagles win on a Jake Elliott field goal, that would be amazing. Something else I was thinking about.
Hmm.
If the Eagles win, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, is Nick Sirianni considered the best coach in Eagles history? I mean, you think about it because he's a guy who, just a few months ago, a lot of people, myself included, I will admit I was wrong, but I'll admit it, wanted him fired. We wanted
Yeah.
him fired after last season. We wanted him fired, after the first 4 games this season. We
Yeah.
wanted him fired after the bye week, and they came back in week 6 and just limped through, a win in Cleveland, but they barely got it. We all wanted him to go, and
Hmm.
now
Yeah.
he's on the verge of winning a Super Bowl, something only done one other time. But he's the first coach to bring them to 2 Super Bowls. If he wins, is he the best coach in Eagles history?
Um,
That's a tough one. I
I,
know.
I would have to see what the measuring stick. What's what is the measuring
Well,
stick
I
for
don't know. I mean, because look, the
greatest
measuring
coach in
stick.
history? Is it just Super Bowl victories? Because he would only have one at that point.
Well, you're right. I mean, look, the measuring stick. If you want to go by sheer wins, it's Andy Reid, obviously by a long shot. But Andy Reid only got to he only got
Hmm.
to 1 Super Bowl, right? He only got to 1 Super Bowl, and they didn't win it. Peterson got to one.
Hmm.
Um, he wasn't really here very long. Sirianni's already been to 2, so it's like if you go by sheer
Hmm.
wins, you got to say Reed. But if you combine the total package, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting discussion. I think he at least has to be mentioned with some of the greatest Eagles coaches because of what he's done in such a short window. I think his record is pretty good since he's been in Philadelphia, number
Yep.
one. Um, I think what would hurt his chances of being called the greatest is that some of that credit, a lot of the credit probably has to go to Howie Roseman because Howie Roseman put together some pretty good teams in his past few seasons. When you got good players, they make your coach look good. So
Well,
he's had some pretty good rosters,
that's
you
true,
know.
but you know, you can buy the greatest groceries, but if you're not a good chef, it's not going to be a good meal. Um, because it's like I was trying to, like in my mind, I was comparing him to Charlie Manuel, because Charlie Manuel was another guy who, when he first
Mhm.
got here, we didn't like him, but then the team started
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah,
But you
they
look at
love
the Phillies
Charlie.
roster back then. How could they not win? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. They had great pitching. So who gets more credit for that? Is it? God, I forgot his Gillick. Was it Pat Gillick? Or
Yeah.
Charlie Manuel became the most successful manager in Phillies history. I really think at the
Yeah.
rate Nick Sirianni's going, and you're right, combined with the great roster provided by Howie Roseman, he's going to have a hell of a lot of wins around here and a hell of a lot of playoff appearances. And, who knows, maybe another Super Bowl appearance or two. I just wonder when it's all said and done, how we're going to look back on Nick Sirianni, because I think we all realize we were wrong about Charlie Manuel, and maybe we were wrong about Nick Sirianni too.
We might have been. I like I said, he at least has to be put in the discussion because of his record. And we were talking about him and Rob Thompson, like just kind of recent coaches in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Rob Thompson has had a similar success as Nick Sirianni. He's going to World Series, going to championships, and it's like, well, if we're calling for Nick's head, then you gotta call for Rob Thompson's head too, right? Because they've had similar success. They've both gotten to championships, you know, come up short. So I think if the Eagles do win this, and not to mention this team is being talked about as one of the greatest Eagles teams in recent history. So, and he's the head coach of that team. So you have to put him in the conversation.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I will tell you, um, Merrill Reese told me, because I asked him point blank, you've been around this team for 48 years. Where does this season rank for you? He said this is the most complete Eagles team he's ever seen.
Wow.
And that's saying something. That's saying something. But you're right. That does speak to the job done by Howie Roseman. I want to go back to your conversation with Dave Spadaro, because I love Dave. You love Dave. Dave is great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I do love Dave. He's awesome, great energy, and
Oh yeah.
he's always willing to chop it up with us and talk Eagles.
So
great guy.
tell me what you took out of that conversation, and maybe some nuggets that, in case people watching or listening to this didn't get to see the show that we ran. Well, give me some things that Dave told you.
Well, I kind of asked him, what's the feel around the team down there, and you just kind of, it seems like they're keeping things the same. And I think that's pretty much what he said. I asked him though, I wanted to know because throughout the season, the postseason, primarily the Eagles have been talking about keeping things the same, and not making the game bigger than what it was. And I was like, well, Dave, this is the Super Bowl. Like, how do you not make the game bigger than what it is? You have to look at this situation and say, this is it, guys. It's win or go home. And it is, he pretty much just said they're kind of keeping things the same, and just staying focused and doing what they need to do, and that as long as that defense keep doing what they're doing, as long as that offense keep executing, there could be a parade on Broad Street. So he always gives some great, and I really wanted to just kind of see where the mindset of the team is, because obviously he's the Eagles insider. He's
Yep.
right there.
He's right
So
there.
I just want to see, and he talked to us about the feel before they left for the Super Bowl. I think before the conference championship, actually, we had a chance to talk to him in studio. He was telling us like it's busy, but everything feels the same. They're keeping things the same, and they're staying locked into their game plan, and this is it. So it's been working for them. Don't try to fix it if it's not broken. So that's pretty much the insight he gave us. Um,
Makes sense.
and I'm glad. I'm glad that they're doing that. Like, because sometimes when you make the moment bigger than what it is, you kind of overdo things, and then that's where you're liable to make a mistake. So I'm glad that he told us that they're doing that.
Yep. No
Because
doubt. Um,
those boys seem like they're ready, man. They seem like they're ready to play ball.
well, they do, and I'm wondering, and maybe you can speak to this, because you're an athlete. I'm far from an athlete. Okay, but you play. I know you played a lot of football in your day.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how the experience a couple years ago will help them now, especially someone like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts arguably was the best player on the field 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Had the Eagles won that game, he probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how does that, once you've been there, and once you've been there, especially if you've been there and you lost and you've tasted that bitter disappointment, like how much does that fuel you now as an athlete?
Yeah, I think it definitely sets a fire. You want to get We call it your get back. You want to get your get back. I
Okay.
think I think there was a kid the kid that asked Jalen Hurts during media week. He said, "Hey, y'all trying to get y'all lick back?" Jay was like, "Yeah, we're trying to get our lick back." I think right now what's fueling Jalen though is the doubters, right? As much as these guys say, "Oh, we won't pay attention to that stuff," they hear it. And what I like what Jalen said is that when people doubt him, that makes him play better. That makes him play harder.
Yeah.
And I'm similar. I love when people doubt me,
Who the hell
man. I,
doubts you, Tyrone?
I just
No.
I love it, Jay. I'm telling you, it just sets a fire, man, that can only be quenched by success. And I think Jalen is ready to play. He looks like he's ready to play, and I think a lot of that has to do with the people that are doubting him and keep saying, "Oh, he's not a top five quarterback." Blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, listen, I'll be a critic of Jalen Hurts. There are some things in his game that kind of gives them, fuel for that conversation. But that guy knows how to win, man. And I would take a quarterback like that who has that mentality and has that mindset that loves the game and want to prove the doubters wrong. I would take him as a quarterback for sure.
Absolutely.
So I think they're definitely I don't know if they're as motivated by the result of Super Bowl 57 as much as they are just wanting to win this time and prove the
Right.
doubters.
Yeah. You mentioned, whatever flaws Jalen has. And you've played the game.
Mhm,
Like I said, I'm not never really been much of an athlete, so you would maybe have more insight to this than me. But
mhm.
the only glaring the only glaring thing that I see wrong with Jalen Hurts, and I feel like in a way he's kind of working on it, but it still does creep up every once in a while. Sometimes he'll hold the ball too long,
Yep.
and he'll take a bad sack rather than throw the ball away. I mean, I think we saw that in a couple of the playoffs games, and there was one in particular. I forget which game it was where it took them out of field goal range.
Yes.
That's the only. I mean, he's great. I mean, he uses his legs. I mean, he can buy time in the pocket. I think he's got
Mhm,
a good touch on his pass most of the time.
mhm,
He's a good leader. The
mhm.
guys respect him. It's just sometimes he holds the ball too long. But I feel
Yeah.
like he's kind of working on it though.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad you kind of went down the list because that's another argument, about Jalen Hurts. It's his good outweighs his bad.
Oh,
And
totally, absolutely.
you know what I mean? And then that's the thing, like that's his main thing. Going through his progression and his read sometimes he's a little bit late on making the right read. And people are kind of taking grace away from that because they're saying to yourselves, you got two number one guys on your team. Then you got Dallas Goddard right there. One of those guys are open.
Yeah,
But that's the couch potato guys,
sure,
that are talking and not seeing what he's seeing,
exactly.
right? Playing quarterback is very hard to do. I play quarterback at flag football, and that is hard to do. And I play wide receiver now. I just switched the whole position because it is a difficult position to play. So I can only imagine where you got they're calling the play double XY, booty cross, banana Y, back peel, and you got to remember all of that and to tell it to your team,
What's the
and then you
booty
got to go
cross?
through. I just threw that in
Oh,
there. I
okay.
know I made that up. I just I just made that up. I don't know. They got some crazy play calls in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
But it's not a easy position to play. And I think for Jalen Hurts, that is one of his downfalls. I think he's gotten better at it, but people don't give him grace for that. And I mean, it's a big thing. When you got to get rid of the ball in the NFL, 3 seconds before some defensive lineman is chasing you down.
Yeah, yeah.
And but Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback in my opinion.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Um, and the thing about it, like the people who criticize Hurts, I can't think of too many other quarterbacks I'd rather have. It's like I don't think people understand that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
if you want Hurts
Well,
gone, if you want to make a
a
change,
lot of
you gotta. There's somebody has to replace him. Who's going to replace Jalen Hurts?
yeah. I the names that always come up above Jalen Hurts are Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. There's I think there's another one. Even Justin Herbert. There are a lot of guys that people say, I'm taking those guys over Jalen Hurts, and hey, they have a fair point, right? I'm not saying that they're wrong about it. Like Joe Burrow, if he could, his numbers were phenomenal this year.
Yeah.
But that Bengals team just kept losing like games. But Joe Burrow had a great season. He could have won MVP easily too. Um, but I don't know. I like Jalen Hurts in this Eagles offense, and it works. And obviously, he's been to two Super Bowls in the past. Guy credit where it's due. He did it. All the guys that they're naming didn't go to that many Super Bowls. He's been to his second one now and has a chance to win it. And if he wins it, what are they going to say?
Not much you can say at that point. Now,
No.
listen, I'm glad he's here, and I think the vast majority of Eagles fans are too. But
Yeah.
you mentioned doubters, and it's funny because and I don't know if you're like me, Tyrone. Um, when I'm watching one of the national pregame shows, ESPN, Fox, whatever, and they make their predictions for the game. If they all pick the Eagles,
Yeah.
that worries me. You know what I mean? If they all pick the other
Yeah.
if they all pick the other team, like, you know what? Good, good. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Good. I'm hearing a lot of
Yeah.
people pick the Eagles in this game.
Really?
Our friend Seth Joyner on
He's
our
very
show that we
confident.
just aired picked the Eagles 32-21. He's predicting a double-digit win, and that guy knows his football. Ray Didinger
32 to
predicted a win.
21.
So I mean,
Mm.
it almost worries me that so many people are so confident that the Eagles are going to win this game.
Well, I forget what station I saw earlier. Oh, it was one of the bigger stations. All Chiefs across the board.
Oh, okay. I think I saw that online. That was ESPN,
Okay,
right? It
yes,
was Get Up on
yes. I think
ESPN.
it was Get Up. That's exactly who it was. All across the board, Chiefs.
But then,
So
but then
I don't
that,
know.
but then this was. I think that was like yesterday. But then this
Mhm.
morning there was another panel on Get Up. Because they rotate the people that they have on. They all
Same
picked
show.
Eagles.
Wow.
So
Only time will tell. Jay, I got a feeling before we wrap this up, you're going to ask me a prediction. I'm gonna tell you now, NA on this one. I'm staying out of this one.
well, okay.
I
I
can't. I can't pick,
I
man.
think I think it's going to be a very close game. I'll give mine
Yeah.
now. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think you know we're gonna age 25 years
Oh,
between 6:30 and 10:30 on Sunday night. We're all gonna have gray hair on Monday morning, but I do think the Eagles are gonna win. We're gonna have a parade on Broad Street with all of our gray and white hair. But it's gonna be a close game,
yeah.
and I think it's gonna be. It's not going to be quite as high scoring as it was 2 years ago, but I could see
Okay.
something like a 27-24 type of a game, 30 to
Oof.
27. But I think it's going to be a close game.
I
But
can't sit through 27, 24, Jay.
I
Come
know I
on.
don't think I can either.
I can't make it
Are
through
you
27.
are you and in our last few minutes, a couple more questions. Are you gonna
Yeah,
get any sleep on Sunday night? Because I don't think I am.
I doubt it. I might try to get some shut eye. It all depends on the outcome. If they win, very little sleep. If they lose, I'll get more. I'll get more sleep if they lose.
I
But if
would
they
think I would think
win,
we get less if they lose because we're so upset. Well,
no,
you said you're not going to be upset.
nah, I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be. And I don't know if, I'm just not gonna be because the expectations that I have for the NFL, believe it or not, I'm a bigger college football fan than I am NFL fan. That's because
Oh,
of the brand of football. Um, I am a big football fan,
okay.
right? I love my Eagles. But I am a bigger football fan. I'm a fan of the sport more than anything. And I feel like when I watch college football, like I'm just satisfied more. after I watch the games. I don't, it's not for everyone. Fine. But I love college football. I love how those young guys they play hard. Obviously they're trying to get to the next level.
Well, they're certainly
Um,
hungrier. Yeah.
they're hungrier. And I don't know, the NFL is just it's an entertainment business. It's patented as an entertainment business, and it feels that way sometimes. And I'm just like, I just want to watch. I just want to enjoy football, like
Yeah. I,
hard-nosed football. So,
I see what you're saying.
um, I won't be surprised. I'll just say I won't be surprised if the Eagles lose this game, but it will not be because they're not a talented football team.
Yeah. I
So
think
I'll leave it at that.
that's well put. Very well put. Do you
Yeah.
remember what you were doing, where you were 8 years ago, or I guess
Oh
seven
man.
7 years ago when they won?
Oh man, Jay, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay.
Win. If we win, I'm dropping my old Super Bowl videos from that night when we won because I was a mad man. I was going crazy, man. I found all of the old videos. I got a new phone and I found all of these old videos of me hanging my head out the car, screaming while I'm driving, running down the street by myself before I went and found everyone. Then I ended up at the link celebrating with fans there. And you talk about no sleep. Like I was working at TSA when we won, and I had to go to work at probably like 4 a.m. I think.
Hmm.
I got like an hour of sleep, and I took my helmet that you guys see me wearing on PHL 17.
Yeah.
I took that helmet and sat it on the manager's desk for the whole day after the Super Bowl. So everybody that came through the airport saw it that morning. So I remember it very clearly. I was in Southwest Philly. And I was watching with my family. And before that ball, like soon as that ball hit the ground, I didn't see the trophy presentation. I didn't see the confetti fall. I didn't see anything. I just ran out the door. I had a cape around my neck, an Eagles cape, Eagles shirt, had my helmet on, and I just was screaming, running in the middle of the street.
I'd love to see some of those videos. You should post them.
I got them.
You got to
If they
you
win, I'm gonna
you got
post
to
those
post them.
videos.
I'll, so I was actually I was working at PHL 17. So right after the game ended, I went to what was then Modell's Sporting Goods. They're not around
Oh,
anymore.
Models. That's a
Yeah,
goodie right
I
there,
went to
man.
Modell's because I'm thinking, you know what, I want to because they had all the Super Bowl merchandise
All the merch, yeah.
right away. So I went to Modell's with my phone, and I'm like, I'm going to record some video. I had a little thing where I could hook, a TV microphone into my phone. I talked to some people,
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
I did that. I did that for the news, and then I went right to work. And because it's day after the Super Bowl, and hopefully you and I will experience this Monday. It's a huge day,
Yeah.
the Monday morning after your team wins the Super Bowl.
It's a
Um,
big day, man. It is a big day. Jay, I'm telling you, I'll tell if any of our viewers watch the Philly Sports Convo show. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be delirious reporting on that game the next day because I'm gonna be running off of nothing if they win. I'll still be very. I might just crash soon as 9 o'clock hits. It's just boom,
I
just
think I think we're all going to be like that.
pass out.
Yeah, I think we're all going to be like that. All right, before we wrap this up, there's
Yeah,
one other thing I want
yeah.
to get to, and it goes beyond football, okay? Because you told me
Hmm.
something that you just want to have a moment. If the Eagles win, you want to have a moment with your son,
Yeah,
and talk about that because
absolutely.
I well, I've a little story of my own after that, but what you told me this morning was great. So please repeat that.
Yeah, I think more than anything, Jay, that it's going to be. I got to experience that Super Bowl win on my own, right? That was my own experience, my own memory. Now, my son Josiah, he was in the belly. He was here, but he wasn't here. Um, so I didn't, get to experience that with him. And I think, for me as a kid growing up, I never saw a Super Bowl. So I didn't get the chance to do that with my dad and go celebrate and run around and just enjoy the moment. And I think for any that hopes his kid is going to get into sports, to see your home team win could really just change your whole perspective about it. Like he could easily fall in love with the game right after seeing the Eagles win the Super Bowl, even if he doesn't fully understand. But I just want to share that moment of just joy and excitement of something that I love, and, that being the game of football. So I told my family, man, if they win, I might cry with my son. He'll be looking at me like, "What are you crying for?" But I think when he gets older, he'll understand the magnitude of being able to share that moment with your dad. And I just think it's going to be one of the highlights of my life to be able to share that with
Well,
him. So
let
I
me
hope the Eagles do that for me. If not, my heart will be broken, not because the Eagles lost, but because I didn't get to share that moment with my kid.
let me tell you something. First of all, that's beautiful. Secondly,
Thank you.
secondly, when you said you might cry, no, there's no might. Okay,
I'm definitely gonna cry.
I I know you, Tyrone. You will cry.
Uh-oh.
And there's not, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When the Eagles won in 2017 season, but February of 2018, and this is something I'll never forget.
Yeah.
There's an article on the Convo website. I wrote an
Hmm.
article about the moments that sports gives to us, and
Yes.
one of those moments was there's a picture where I'm hugging my father,
Yeah.
and we're hugging after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to get emotional talking about this, but
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing where after all those years, it's like you start to think it's never going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Yeah.
start to
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's never going to happen. And like you, I wanted that moment with my dad. All right, my kids aren't into sports. Okay, my parents are. I wanted that moment with my dad,
Hmm.
and I got it, and
That's
I will
awesome.
never forget it. And yeah, my eyes are glazing over now.
Yeah.
Why'd you do this to me, Tyrone?
No,
But I
you're
got
proving my point, though,
I
Jay. You're
I
proving my point.
I got the moment with my dad because you know
Yeah.
something, and like you don't want to think like this, but you know what? There's gonna come a time that my dad's not gonna be here anymore, but I will
Yeah.
always have that moment with him, and I'm
Always
grateful
have
for
it.
that. I'm so grateful for that, and I want
Yeah.
you to have that with your son.
Yes.
You guys are youngsters, but you see you'll have plenty of moments. Hopefully, this isn't the the last time the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, but damn it,
Yeah.
buddy, I hope you get the moment because I'm telling you something.
It's
That will
great.
be even better than the win. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It
As
will.
you're going to feel great when the clock hits zero and the Eagles are ahead, but it's not going to compare to you having that moment with Josiah. And I hope you
Yeah.
get it. I really hope you
Thank
get
you,
it.
Jay. I appreciate it, man. I hope so too. It'll make. Oh man, and then he might if we have win the game and have the parade, he might be able to just skip school and come hang out with me at the studio that day, man, and watch the parade or something.
Can I tell
I
you,
don't know.
I if you bring him in, if you
Yeah,
bring him in, and I say this as one of the producers of the show, if you bring him in, he's going on the air.
he's got to go to the air,
He's going.
right?
Hell,
He's already been on there a few
I
times,
I
so
want him to read the sports. Okay, all right.
oh
You
man,
could take a break. Let's have Josiah read the sports. Okay.
you talk about viewership, his ratings are boom. That guy's a character.
We could have him do the weather.
There you go.
It could be totally it could be all his show. It could be all his show. That would be great.
I tell you though, Jay, if he's anything like his dad, he's gonna be like, all right, where's my check? I did weather, I did sports. Where's my check
Well,
now?
all that means you're teaching him well. You are teaching him
Yeah.
well, my friend.
Know
Um,
your worth, son.
one last thing. One last thing. And dude, I always
Yeah,
love talking to you, man. I love because it's like the time. We've been talking for over an hour, and it feels like it's 10 minutes. The time flies by. Um, so
it
we
goes
ran
by.
we ran something this morning where there was like a 50-person choir from Jersey
Yeah.
singing the
Yes.
Eagles fight song. Excuse
You
me.
sound great.
Yeah, they sounded fantastic.
You did.
Um, a coworker of mine from my radio job is in the choir. He was in that video. He sent me the video. A guy named Eric Har, great guy.
Yeah.
Um, and if you recall, when we ran it at like 5:45 this morning, we
Hmm.
went to you for sports right after, and you
Yep.
said, "Hey, I'd like to join. I could be their base man."
Yeah, they need one more.
Eric, hold on, I got to find the text. He texted me right after that because he was watching. Where is it? You ever know when you have to find something you can't find it, and
That's how it
it's
goes.
like really annoying.
Yeah, that's how it
Um,
goes.
hey, hold on, I'm gonna find it. I'm telling you, I'm gonna find it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. By the way, tell Tyrone we are always looking for good singers. So if he's interested, ask him to give me a buzz or send me a text. Okay, there you go. So if you were serious, you let me know, and I will send you their way, and we'll have Tyrone Sharper, the bass man. I
I
mean,
got my tea ready. I'm getting my voice together. Jay, in my mind, I am the greatest singer in the world, but that is in my mind, right? Karaoke night, I'm into it. But yeah, we'll have to see about that. If I can get, just a little bass line.
what's your go-to
Yeah.
karaoke song? Do you have one?
The Temptations.
Which
Temptations.
which one?
My girl. My
Oh, My
girl.
Girl. Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I perform all of them
That's
like I'm
fantastic.
yeah, I perform all of them like I'm like at a sold out Wells Fargo center, but
All right. Next
but
time you do that, I gotta go. I gotta watch this. We gotta film it and put it on the news. That's what we
you
gotta
gotta
do.
put it on the news. Then I'll have to charge them though, because it's a concert, so I'll have to charge
Hey
them.
man, know your worth, right? And you gotta know your worth.
Yes,
I
know
love
your worth.
Motown.
That's
I
absolutely
would
right.
I would pay to see that. I would pay to see Tyrone doing the Temptations. I love that. You gotta
There's a
do
video of me somewhere. I'll have to get you the video. There's a video of me on the cruise singing it, I think. One of the cruises I went on.
if you really like the Temptations, you gotta do Can't Get Next to You. You know that song?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
got you got
gotta. I love the movie, so I gotta watch the movie to get the moves down too, and then I'll put the moves on it.
you gotta do it. All right. Hey man, this was a lot of fun. As
Always.
always.
Yes,
Um
sir.
let's let's hope we're celebrating something Monday morning, right?
Go
Go
birds.
Birds. All right.
Go birds.
Last time we did this, I asked you to wrap it up because you're a broadcast professional and I'm just kind of like a wannabe. So, do me a favor, wrap up the show as only you can, and we'll call it a night. We'll call it a day, depending on people are watching and listening to this, and
Absolutely.
we'll cross our fingers for the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Go birds. This has been another Philly Sports Convo, the big game special. We don't want Jason paying the fines, but as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.
You're awesome, man. You're awesome.